On the topic of looking ahead to next year, now is the time to be testing for a very damaging pest that can be now found in nearly 60 counties in the state. Let's learn about testing for soybean cyst nematode with UNL's Dylan Mangel. If you have unexplained yield loss in your soybean fields, might be soybean cyst nematodes. We're going to be talking about that with Dylan Mangel from Nebraska Extension. And Dylan, why is now in October the best time to be testing?
This is the best time of year because we got crops coming out of the field. Growers might have a little bit more time on their hand, but the real big reason is this is the time of year when they're at their peak level in the soil. So all summer long, those populations have been increasing. They go through a generation every 28 days. And after 3 or 4 of those, you've got really high levels of that, especially in those soybean fields that just came out of production.
We're in 2/3, soybean cyst nematode is in 2/3 of the state of Nebraska counties now as you look at the map. Who should be testing?
Yeah, it's in 2/3, and those 2/3 are the soybean producing areas. So it's pretty much in all those soybean producing counties, but it's not in every field. So knowing if it's in your field or knowing which of your fields it's in could help you plan to keep it just in those fields and not spread it to new ones. So really, anyone who's farming soybeans should know their SCN status because it can steal yield without any above ground symptoms in many cases. So we don't really know if it's there without testing.
Well, let's talk about sending samples, and it's free because of the Nebraska Soybean Board.
Yes, the Nebraska Soybean Board has funded a program, free soybean cyst nematode testing for any Nebraska grower. All you've got to do is put soil in a bag and send it into the UNL Plant and Pest Diagnostic Clinic. And if you need bags, we'll even send those out to growers as well, just to make that as easy as possible.
I'll hold the bags. I want to see you take a sample. Yeah. Show us the right way to do this.
So it's pretty simple. The nematodes are going to stay in that top 6 inches of the soil. So they're not going to drop down like other nematodes in corn might do. And we're in a cornfield, and just note that you can test out of cycle if you're in your corn rotation, but levels might be a little bit lower, but it will tell you if it's still there. So all you've got to do is get that top 6 inches of soil. We can take a core with a simple soil probe like this. We can see that, put it in a bucket, and what I recommend is taking several cores throughout a field, or if you've got those areas of unexplained yield loss, walk throughout your field, find those areas. Once you've got a sample in a bucket, you can take that, break those chunks up, and it's as simple as pouring a few cores, maybe 10 cores or so in a bag, and then sending those samples into us. And if you don't have, we can put those in there if you'd like, if you don't have a soil probe, you can just go ahead and use a spade or a shovel, anything. We just need that top 6 inches of soil. So send in a blended sample and we can count the nematodes.
So again, I'll mention this is a free resource for all Nebraska soybean farmers to be able to send those samples in. But what happens when that gets into the lab? What are you guys looking at from there?
Yep, so once they get into the lab, we take those samples, and it's really a process of separating the nematodes from the soil. So we use a series of sieves to separate those out. We'll get the cysts, we'll break those open because they're full of eggs, and then we'll take those eggs to a microscope and we'll count the amount that's under there. And then from that amount of nematodes is directly proportional to the amount of yield loss that you'll be having in that field. So we can send that result back to the grower or whoever's sending that soil sample, and you can kind of estimate what kind of yield loss you'll experience with those nematodes.
What's the website for people to learn more about testing?
Yeah, you can go to, first off, you can request soil sample bags from go.unl.edu/SCN sample, or you can go to cropwatch.unl.edu.
Dylan, thanks for the time.
Thank you.